to the newest indoor adventure in Departure, Part 6 of our Four Keeps campaign. Today is April 5th, 2021, and you are loved. That is a very important thing that we like to remind each and every single one of our viewers and listeners at the beginning of each and every single one of these games. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to youtube.com/indooradventures to check up on all of the VODs of each of the games that we have played up until this point, or you can go towards where anywhere audio casts are made available for free. You can find us there under the same moniker. And speaking of things that are being made available for free, if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can check up on our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask myself or any of these other fine folk, feel free to join us once again at patreon.com/indooradventures. But if you already support us on Patreon, you already support us on YouTube and Twitch and all of those other places, and you're looking for another way to help support the show, guess what, buddy? I got your back. Quite literally, in fact, because if you go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, we got t-shirts, we got posters, we got mugs, we got crop tops, we got throw pillows, shower curtains, clocks, aprons, and most importantly, we also have face masks. That's right, we have Tiamat masks with the symbol of Tiamat done up upon them, done by our very own Cyberwolf 1201, and we have masks in different styles now as well. We have the threefold mask, we have the standard mask. It's great. And even better, all of the proceeds from those mask sales end up going to help support Doctors Without Borders. So if you would like to help support a good cause or possibly help support the show, you can again go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. That is indooradventure, no S at the end, .redbubble.com. But that is it for my spiel. So hey, RJ, who you playing today?
Hey everybody, it's me, RJ. Today I'll be playing Caelum, the Sharakai Wizard, and we both use he/him.
Hello everybody, my name is LBHackEmUp, and I'm going to be playing Gwen, the Halfling Barbarian Fighter. We both use she/her.
I'm Sir. I play Arjhan, the Draconian Ranger Cleric. I have to read that off of the overlay every time because I keep forgetting. I use he, him, or whatever pronouns. They're all cool. And Arjhan uses he, him.
Hey everybody, I'm Wings, also known as Danae Keener. I'm playing as, I use she, her pronouns, Coriander, the Elgin Paladin, who is my character. She uses she, any.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, it's been about 2 weeks since we last played, so we're going to do a recap. I mean, we normally do a recap, but let's get into it. So, last time we played, the Four Keeps had managed to get out of the Undercity, the sewer system beneath the city of Shroudport. And upon exiting onto the city streets, you saw that the Festival of Light was in full swing. People were carrying around lanterns, there was a small parade that was happening, and of course, people were imbibing. There was free booze that was being handed out, and that was the source of the problem, as many of those bottles of free booze had a particular black wormy at the bottom that the lot of you had actually come into contact with before, recognizing this as one of the marks of Kyuss. At this point, you decided that your best bet was going to be to go and visit your old pal Feng Zest at the Zesty Anchor. As you ended up confirming with him, things had gotten, how do you say, a little weird in Shroudport ever since the magic ban. It seems like even innate magic casters have been thrown out of the city, resulting in an entirely magicless population. It was at that point that you decided that you were going to wait for the start of the Festival of Lights primary parade, as it was rumored and foretold that the Lord Keeper himself, Orjet Ravenholt, would be there to help bring in this festival. And lo and behold, he was not. And instead, the lighthouse, this upside down, carved into the side of a cliff face lighthouse that the Lord Keeper calls their keep, rather than displaying its standard yellowish light, instead had a very unsettling reddish color that seemed to swath over the city of Shroudport rather than out to sea, and each individual that this light passed over that had ingested one of these black wormies turned into a spawn of Kyuss. There were many worms that were there. We are going to just glance over them because a lot of people don't like the description of buggies, so, moving on past that point. Cori, Arjhan, Cori, Caelum, and Gwen ended up trying to do their best to minimize the effects of these wormies on the ground level. But Arjhan, you took it upon yourself to fly up to the source of this light in an attempt to try and stop it from continuing this metamorphosis amongst the townfolk. Upon your arrival here at this lighthouse, you were greeted by none other than Lord Ravenholt himself, who who removed their own face in the form of a mask, and you had witnessed them just being a body entirely comprised of worms with these strange parchments and spells that had seemed to encapsulate this 10-foot by 10-foot gem that was floating, being the source of the light over Shroudport. It was at that point that your group was able to reconvene, with Caelum flying Gwen up and Cori, you just supermanning your way using the investiture of wind. And after a fierce battle between the four of you and the figure formerly known as Lord Ravenholt, you were able to dismiss them. But not before you witnessed a gate opening, using what you had assumed was the botanical remains of Sten Fazeno, we'll say. And from this gate, you had seen what looked like a gargantuan worm creature that was attempting to make its way out to join you on the material plane. Thankfully, a well-placed wall of force was able to prevent it from coming back out, and that is where we left off at our last session, was the four of you in the lighthouse of Shroudport, having stopped this outbreak, and thankfully the people below seem to also have, for the most part, ceased their metamorphosis. Now, you guys are all still in this lighthouse, and you see that there are the remains of where Lord Ravenholt was. You see that the strange figure of whatever Sten Fazeno has become is still there. Is there anything that you all would like to do while you are here? And again,
Wrap up a firebolt.
10 by 10 foot giant Jemmy.
Yeah, Caelum's gonna prep a firebolt and motion to Sten.
Should you check it?
I'm pretty sure he's very dead.
Well, yeah, but is there science things that you can do with it, Arjhan?
I'm not sure what else we can do here. I would like to get a sense of primeval awareness. Are there any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fey fiends, or undead within 1 mile of me?
You get a sense that there are undead that are within a mile of you.
I don't get the exact location.
There is a varying, there is an overwhelming feeling of undead, but you can't really tell what side these undead are on. Some of them being Gwen's spirits that she had summoned, others being these wormies, but you can always sense that there is a decreasing number. As this primeval awareness kicks off, it feels like there is a set, there is a high amount, and then it just steadily goes down the longer that you maintain this. So you feel again, there is a situation that has been avoided here.
Okay. We were given a thing of a liquor before, right? That had a wormy in it.
That is correct.
Is that wormy still
It's
moving?
It is.
Okay.
If these are like the blights that we encountered on the island, if we kill, I assume, the central point, which is probably Sten, they might all die.
Does Sten still have a connection to, like, does it look like Sten has a connection to the worms, or is he just a botanical thing?
It looks like Sten is more of a botanical thing, not necessarily a connection to the worms. His, like, the vines and other kinds of things that were growing from him were the creation of this gate, almost. Arjhan, make a Arcana check, and I would say, Caelum, you could make an Arcana check as well on this.
8.
Okay, so an 8 from Arjhan.
21.
So, Arjhan, you feel like you've heard about something like this, but as you do, you can feel a little bit of blood coming from your nose, and you realize, oh, that might have been a blood hunter thing that I forgot along the way. Caelum, throughout your studies and throughout your interactions with many creatures along your travels, you have a sneaking suspicion that whatever happened to Sten is more on the fiendish side of things. There was a individual that you met along your travels who ended up saying that they were a follower of one of these, of a deity of ooze or something along those lines. There is a creature similar to that, one of the lessers, this ooze-like moss that can actually create portals to either the far realms or the hells. It seems like whatever Sten is right now, or whatever he looks like, was one of those creatures being manipulated.
Huh. It's fiendish in nature. There's a specific lore that basically moss portal is created by a lesser fiend of the hells. But
While we're
why?
looking at this, Cori will do a divine sense.
There is definitely fiend. Cori, how close are you getting to this?
Within 60 feet.
Okay, make a perception check.
Okay. I got a 24.
You can see that beyond all odds and beyond all recollection, on Sten Fazeno's tiny, tiny chest, you see it rise ever so steadily and fall. It seems like Sten is still breathing, somehow.
Oh my god! Do I get undead from him?
You do not.
He's still alive.
The guy, she pulls up her axe. Does
She's,
chop off his head?
she's gonna approach and do a cleansing touch.
Okay. And remind me of what Cleansing Touch does.
You can use your action to end one spell on yourself or one willing creature that you touch 4 times per long rest.
So you go to Cleansing Touch, and you see that a lot of the vines and other bits of plant that seem to be coming out from Sten begin to like wither away from the pores that they seem to be exiting out of as they begin to kind of like peel off of the wall.
Oh.
They don't look healthy.
Can she pull him down off the wall?
You can like steadily it's like watching paint peel, and you're just like guiding him because as you like come into contact with his body, he feels so fragile.
She'll give him a cure wounds.
Rory, what are you doing?
He's not dead.
Sten? The guy who died like months ago?
She'll hold him like bridal carry style, and like show, like put a hand on his chest and show how it rises and falls.
Fucking necromancers.
Fucking gnomes!
Well,
Alrighty.
shit.
Well, I'm gonna stash that giant gem inside my.
Put it in the hole.
Put it in the hole.
Okay. So, Caelum, as you go up to the gemmy and you go to put the giant gemmy into your bag of holding, or not into your bag of holding, into your portable
hole.
How wide is the hole?
Sorry, I will double check. Portable hole. It unfolds into a circular sheet, 6 feet in diameter, so 12-foot radius.
So you are barely able
Reverse
to...
that.
Oh,
6 feet diameter is a 3-foot radius.
okay, cool. You're right.
This is a 10-foot by 10-foot gemmy.
Oh,
This
I
is
can't
a
put it in the hole.
massive gemmy.
It's too big for the hole.
Eh,
Mm.
nice. It doesn't stretch. I know it's a magic hole, but
I'm gonna take some time to study this. If someone wants to get on getting some sort of leadership up in Shroudport.
I'll head out.
Well, surely they still have physicians in town, even if they don't have spellcasters.
Yeah, I'll head out.
Okay. Yeah, so Arjhan, you head out. Are you looking for leadership or physicians?
Leadership.
Okay. So going to look for leadership. Make an investigation check.
Okay. 11.
So with an 11, regretfully, most of the members of the guard, Gwen's spirits sort of had to remove. You do end up finding that there were a few of the like new hire guards that are unaware of any of the events that were here. They were hired on to like help patrol the gate at the top, make sure that people weren't bringing magic in. After seeing everything, they are either like laying down, just like, I don't want to be a guard in this fucking city anymore. Or they are like doing their best, using that kind of like inscrutable go-getter attitude to help mediate, and they are setting up emergency tents, that sort of thing. And you end up finding, I would say they are a human. Her name is Shayla, and she seems to be like doing her best to direct the other recruits and trainees that they had gotten to try and set them up. But when you like see the badge rank that she has, she's also like a newer hire.
Great. We'll make it work. I'm assuming we've already done like introductions and everything since I know her name.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and when you go up and like try and get a read on this situation, she ends up like looking towards you and just saying, "You were the man who was flying through the air earlier, right?" Well,
yeah,
yes.
sure.
First off, thank you. Secondly, I don't think magic's banned in the city anymore, so you're at no risk of being all of that. At least I don't think. Lord Keeper, what's the situation? Is he safe?
He's dead.
Did you see who killed him?
Yes. It was me.
And
Or
she,
who
like-
was it? Who was it? Who actually got the killing blow?
The killing blow, I believe, was Cori? It's been 2 weeks.
It was me.
Okay.
because he was the one behind this. What's the situation here
Well, the
right
situation's-
now?
I'll have to unpack all that later. Now, the situation that we have right here is that there are a lot of people that are scared. A lot of people don't know what's going on. A lot of people have just lost their loved ones because they turned into, like, worm things, and then spirit Goliaths showed up and started wreaking havoc, and there was one spirit tiefling who was very loud and very boisterous, and we don't really know what to do with him. There's a lot that needs to happen. Obviously, parade's cancelled.
Okay, well, I don't think the spirits are going to be a problem anymore.
They seemed rather helpful in the whole endeavor, so honestly, I have no problem with them at this moment.
Gwen's just in the background, like high-fiving them and like, "You are amazing."
All right, so Gwen, you've left the lighthouse. Then I'm assuming you could have even like ridden down with Arjhan.
I went with Arjhan.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
We need people to assess the situation in the lighthouse, and a physician. That would be lovely if there's any.
There are a few physicians left in town. Let me see if we can get somebody on that. I mean, we're all trying to figure out exactly what's happened, but they should be here momentarily. Do you have any medical training?
I'm more of a pharmaceutical person myself.
Anything helps at this point.
Also, the Lordkeeper's dead. Who was like? What's the next? What's the chain of succession?
The chain of succession is usually that we didn't have to worry about that because we voted the Lord Keeper in. The previous one would
But
retire.
what if he like gets sick?
Well, if he gets sick, it probably would go to the next in his chain of command. But if everything that you're telling me, it was his chain of command there.
Was this chain of command there?
He was not, and you're guessing, Arjhan, that as far as the chain of command went, it was worms all the way down.
Sweet. Anyway. I really don't know what I'm doing here.
Well, if you don't know what you're doing, and you're looking for a way to help, you can start getting people's names, and we can start figuring all this out. If you have a way to check them in case they will be bursting into worms or anything else like that here pretty shortly, that's also very useful for the city.
I don't.
That's fine.
So that's fun.
What are we talking about?
Do you have a way to check people for worms, little one?
I mean, in the tribe, you go through their, like...
To see if they'll turn into worms, not if they have worms.
I mean, I don't know if that's how it works. They did ingest them, so, like... And you know what?
All right, how about this?
I know somebody could know.
How about you go around, talk to everybody, see if anyone took a drink that had the things in them, and then if they did, quarantine them. If they don't want to come peacefully, I guess I'm acting guard captain now until we get any kind of better direction. You have my guard captain's blessing. Get them quarantined.
Right. Okay, hold on. Hey, Caelum. We're gonna need you guys down here at your earliest convenience. I should be counting. People, worms, figure...
And then it cuts. Caelum. Gwen and Arjhan had left. You were in the process of casting a
Identify spell.
Identify. Okay. So as you are casting Identify, this gem is old. Far older than it has any right to be. And as you are feeling the magic of it, this physical piece of geology that rests here is closer to the weave, the raw essence of magic, than you have ever felt, even when you yourself were going through the flows. I'm going to send you the name of this thing, as well as the item description, because that is what an identify spell will end up doing, and then I will leave that to you. However, you would recognize, or at least you would know, based off of this identify, that this thing, this gem, is called a mythalar. It is old.
Oh.
It is ancient, and it has properties on it that, in the wrong hands, could cause some serious damage, which, thankfully, you narrowly avoided. Big plus.
Oh. How big is this thing?
This is a 10-foot by 10-foot gem that seems to levitate off of a pedestal that can shine light out to the sea for all ships coming. It seems like that's just one of its smaller, more innate properties that it seems to do.
Is this the original like light source of the lighthouse?
It is. This item is known as the Keeper's Myth, or the Keeper's Mythal.
Huh. Neat. A shadow descends upon Coriander, and Caelum's masked face just peeks out from the side. How's he doing?
I don't know. How is he doing, Steven?
He's alive. His legs have seen better days. One of his arms has certainly seen better days, and he as a person looks quite emaciated. Alive, but a body is not meant to survive off of plant nutrients for as long as Stenfazeno has been surviving off of plant-based nutrients.
Yeah, you need to supplement that with protein.
Yes. He has not had that.
Okay.
I want meat.
I don't want water.
He's alive. Seen better days.
We need to get this gem out of here.
All right. Do you have any suggestions on how to go about that?
Well, I could tie it to myself and drag it out of here by flying.
That sounds dangerous, and honestly,
it's levitating.
I see. I can see that. But what if it only levitates over, like, stone or something? What if you take it over the ocean and it drags you to the bottom?
Would I know it'd be fine to do that, Steven? Or is this thing housed in its own, like, levitation?
It's kind of housed. It seems like it would take a lot of finagling to try and move this out of its current resting station.
I'm gonna have to make some calls.
Could you not make a teleportation circle?
Or I could here teleport over to where Gideon is. We can drag them into Gideon. I think that'd be the safest place to keep it.
How long would that take?
Seeing as I don't have that prep today, so that's a tomorrow endeavor.
All right. I've used quite a bit of my own resources.
Actually, I think the safest place to keep it would be there. Could you help me out real quick?
Sure. She'll put Sten down someplace soft.
Now, can we freely, like, move this out of the...
It seems to want to stay where it is.
Oh, it's like
So probably-
magnetically.
It is held in this space, and looking at the floor, looking at the ceiling, there are intricate sets of runes and stonework that seem to be keeping this thing here.
Could you dispel magic on those?
I could, but once again, tomorrow endeavor. as I've used
Right.
all of my resources on smiting.
Alright, I could lock this thing away in a demiplane for the time being.
All right. Do we know whether or not the magic of this thing is keeping the tower held to the underside of this cliff?
I'll
Or
go
is
to
that
the
just
library.
a marvel of engineering?
It might be a marvel of engineering. I don't remember reading that in the guidebook. But for the most part, someone's going to have to wait here and keep an eye on it just in case. Excuse me. Any Kai spawn show up to take it.
Good idea. I should probably take Sten to a physician.
Right. I'm going to make some calls outward to see if we can't get any help here.
Right. I'll stick around for as long as you need me.
Go ahead. I'll be fine.
She'll nod. Pick up Sten, go over to the window, investiture of wind, fly down to the city.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Caelum, who are you making calls to?
Well, Caelan's making calls. He's going to tune to this.
That seems like a fun time for everyone involved.
I shouldn't have left you alone!
Sir?
Yes, leave the wizard next to the 10-foot gem radiating magic by himself. I'm sure that's fine. I'm sure this is a totally normal...
This is why we left the elves.
Yeah, it seems like a good time. So, Caelum, you are attuning to the Keeper's Mythal.
But he's also calling... Oh, shit. He'll ting his badge. Hey, Arjhan, I'm calling Makoth for reinforcements. Is that okay?
Sure, do what you want.
Cool. Sending to Makoth. Makoth, Lord Keeper, dead at Shroudport. Need help. No, need assistance. Bring spellcasters if you can. Thanks, Caelum.
The response you get is, "Oh my god. Caelum, it's good to hear from you. Lord Keeper dead? What happened? I will try to find them."
Yeah, I'll spend another. Worms all the way down. Lord Keeper was a dick, so we killed him. I only have 25 words, making it succinct as possible.
That's your remaining 25.
That was his remaining 25.
There is no response to that one. But message received. Okay?
I sent sendings out to Hadorai and Makoth to research Kyuss
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yes, you did. All right, so, Cori, you are returning back to the city streets. You were able to find Arjhan and Gwen. They are currently in the process of trying to quarantine some individuals who said that they drank the drink that had the worm in it. They didn't drink the worm at the bottom, but that was several drinks ago. So, you know, like, their memory is hazy at best, and they just, like, they're super scared of this whole thing. Like, drunk, scared people are not fun to interact with. You need to, like,
Did
give
we
them away.
did we establish whether or not Cori could use divine sense to tell whether or not someone was about to turn into a worm?
Yeah, you'd be able to.
Okay. She instructs people to get as many folks who suspect that they may be infected into the same room at the same time, and she'll divine sense them
Yeah, it's very
once they're
easy,
fairly certain we've got everybody.
because 2 of your friends are already on that duty. So they are
Yeah.
in the process of rounding up, and I would say Roll a d4 for me.
Mm.
Because you were trying to, it is herding cats. You were trying to get scared drunk people to agree to go away with you while they just
4.
watched others. So it takes you a grand total of 4 hours to go through the streets of Shroudport and to get everybody that you can. During this time, though, Arjhan, you and Gwen are, again, just, like, kind of doing your best to round them up. Cori has, like, a station set up. I would assume that you have dropped Sten Fazeno off at one of the physician's tents. And when you do, I feel like the physician, like, sees Sten. And there's a look of just, like, I thought he was dead. Like,
Yeah. So did we.
and, yeah, so it takes you a grand total of 4 hours, but you are able to get everyone into the same place. Divine sense, there are 3 individuals that still have Wormy in them out of the lot.
Right.
The rest are just scared
All right.
and drunk.
Perfect.
She will bring them aside and basically set up an appointment to lay on hands them tomorrow when she has resources back.
No need. And Arjhan will lesser restoration.
Nice.
Wait. Blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned, or one disease. Is the disease?
Abilities that are used to remove a poison or remove a disease will remove the wormies.
Cool.
From mechanical standpoint, that works out totally fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Arjhan takes him aside and just sort of presses his hand on their shoulder, and then you just see this claw reach inside of them, yank the worm out, and squish it in her talons.
There is definitely like some divine fire that seems to like enrapture them when that draconic claw clenches. And you have cured those last 3 remaining people.
Incredible. I can divine sense twice more today. If you need me to help clear anybody as someone you can trust, let me know.
All right. I'm going to go talk to city management. I'm going to try and set up something for
There is no city management.
Well, I'm going to get Fang and a couple other people that I trust and see if we can get them to lead a little bit while we what did they like elect someone, or is it I don't remember how they did it here.
It was elections.
Yeah, okay. Well, until then we have to put a council together. And we don't live here, so.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds
I'm going to go
good.
find Fang.
Yeah, it's not hard. He owns a tavern, and he does not seem like he seems almost unfazed. Getting to Fang's place, when you go to open the door is stuck. And you have an ungodly amount of strength, so it is stuck for the normies. But Gwen, you just like push open this door, and as you're doing it and the door cracks open, Fang has just piled a bunch of furniture in front of the door, and as it's opening, you just hear, "Get the fuck back! I swear I will end you!"
Fang, it's me!
How do I know it's you? How do I know it's not one of those worm things? Say something only you would know.
Fuck gnomes!
All right, it's Gwen.
Will you let me in, please?
And you hear, like, furniture being moved from the other side. Be gone, bot!
I got it.
Thank you. So yes, Fang will do his best to move all the furniture. Again, once you get like enough, Gwen, you're kind of able to scramble over. And you can see that behind the bar counter at the very back of the Zesty Anchor, Huddle is there with a frying pan, just kind of like holding it up, doing their best to look menacing.
You're doing great, bud. The Battle's over.
What happened out there? You guys left, and then it was like 20, 30 minutes peace and quiet. Then everyone started screaming. This guy who was made of worms, like, tried rushing into my bar, thankfully. Quachak, got him.
That was not our fault.
He, like, gives you a side eye a little bit.
I know the timing. The timing does not work out really well, but I promise. So, do you know about the worm the worm ball that is in space?
I'm sorry, what?
So there is this ball of dark worms that is heading towards the Earth, which, by the way, is round, we found out. Long time ago.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, Cori went to the fucking moon.
Well, that doesn't make sense. Maps are flat, and that's a representation of where we live.
That's what I thought, too.
Headache.
Anyways, so she'll fill him out on, like, the important details and stuff. But right now, the guy who was in charge, the headmaster, whatever, of the town, he was possessed by... Do we know his name? Do we know the name of the thing yet?
Kyuss? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to make sure I wasn't metagaming because I know the video came out. Yeah, so he was Kyuss, who was the thing that I was telling you about. So we killed him. And from what I've been told, it was worms all the way down to management. So what we need to do is set up a council to run the city for a little while. And I thought, I mean, you're the best person for the job, so...
I own a tavern. I do management, but, like, ordering beer and food.
Right. But you were an adventurer! This is an adventure!
And he just sort of, like, pinches his brow and takes a deep sigh, and Huddle just sort of, like, clanks the cast iron pan that he had on the table, and Fang looks over and just, oh, don't give me that. And Huddle, like, puts his hands on the side of his turtle shell and just, like, puffs his chest up a little bit and kind of, like, does a side-to-side prance. And you think that Huddle is, when you call Fang an adventurer, you think that Huddle is making fun of Fang a little bit.
Come on, bud. I mean, do you know someone else who would be better for the job? You're the only person I really know that's still here. I mean, besides my friends who are thieves, so, like, probably not the best people to put in charge.
Fuck. I might know a few people. And as he says that, we're going to go back to Caelum, because Caelum, the events that are happening in the city take a total of 4 hours, but it only takes, you know, a short rest in order to attune to this big ol' thingy. So you got, you know, another 3 hours in the Lord Keeper's mansion? Estate?
Caelum's going to press a hand against it and cast Scrying.
Okay, who are you scrying on?
Targeting Skavix.
As you are scrying, you see Skavix, like, bag over their shoulder. It's been less than 24 hours since you told him to head up to Silt Creek to talk to the other members of Tyrant Security, and they're, like, I would think that they're probably, like, on the back of a cart. Like, their partner in crime, Durandal, is just, like, driving the cart, and they're having an idle conversation.
Skavix.
And, like, Skavix, like, immediately, like, stops what he's saying, and then, like, looks around, just, Caelum.
Well, good news, bad news. Good news is magic's allowed back in Shroudport. Bad news is we had to kill the Lord Keeper.
And you can, like, from your scrying sensor, you can see that, like, when you say that, Skavix just, like, eyes go wide, just, like, he's gobsmacked. You just admitted to murdering the Lord Keeper to what used to be the head guard of that city.
Now, before you come to any assumptions, he was the bad guy here. He was going to poison everyone.
Durandal, stop the cart. And cart steadily comes to a brief halt. So what is it you're trying to say here? Do you
Shroudport. Sorry.
do you still want for me to go to Silt Creek?
We sent him there to talk with Tyrant Security about what again?
To kind of like fill them in on the
Ah.
situation if you were also going to possibly call for reinforcements along the way.
Right. We still need to get the word out that Shroudport needs help, but I assume that management is in disarray since the head is gone. It's a mess here, and they need a guard captain.
And when you say that, Skavix takes this small set of bifocals that he has resting ever so on his draconic schnoz, takes them, kind of like uses the side of his tabard to clean them a little bit. Durandal, turn the cart around. We're going home. And Durandal nods and just kind of like gives a thumbs up. And then like gets off the cart, has to correct the horse that they're on to try and like get the cart around. But eventually they will begin heading south again.
Oh no.
Stay.
Fast travels to you, Skavix. If anything comes up, I'll update you.
Hopefully in a less surprising manner, but I hope to see you soon. And he says, like, kind of like looking at the air around him, like this disembodied voice just showed up and started chatting.
God, if it was fucking like distorted to like Skavix.
Diamond in the rough. So
Your eternal reward.
So you have said this to Skavix. And I would say you probably still have, like, again, over 3 hours to just kind of do whatever.
Finds an opening in the lighthouse and just stares out over the city.
Gotcha. Yeah, staring over the city, it looks like things are winding down. As far as the, like, there being a commotion from, festival, and then commotion from an event that almost killed everyone, to now there being, like, people are lining up, they're going into tents, making sure that they are checked out if they are injured. There are people that are kind of, like, being maneuvered around in such a way that you are used to seeing as, like, making sure that everyone is safe. Making sure that people are being taken care of in some way, shape, or form. And you even see your friends currently, like, rounding up individuals who seem to either be drunk or scared or rambling about having drank some sort of beverage. They cannot remember if there was a worm in it or if they drank one or not. And Caelum, I think that as you're here with the Mythal, inside this room, it's not just like this giant gemmy. Like, there was a small hallway, there was an opening, like a doorway to go into the rest of the building, that sort of thing. But looking at the spell scrolls or at least the remainders of them from what's left, looking at all of these, you're guessing that the sickening radiance that had been spilling from this gem was not necessarily like an after effect of trying to attune it to wherever Kyuss was attempting to attune this thing to. But it seems like they were attempting to corrupt this giant magical item to use for their own purposes. You're not sure exactly what those are because, again, he is no longer here. But it is still the effects of what he was trying to do are still evident.
If I pour over the notes with an Arcana check, can I maybe try and find a way to reverse it?
So I would say that you don't even need an Arcana check for this. You're fairly confident because it is no longer bathing you in this sickening radiance. That the removal of them, the destruction of these notes covering the gem, was enough to actually cause it to revert back to its standard state. It seems like these, the notes and everything were more of like a housing for it, to try and get it to do exactly what Kyuss wanted. Maybe use the gate portion and keep it open for far longer than it was initially intended.
And I'm guessing there are ramifications for that.
Yes.
No, don't like that at all. All right. He'll pull out his journal, start sketching out the gem and writing his own set of notes for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So yeah, several hours go by. Cori, Arjhan, Gwen, you've been able to at least heal up those 3 that you were able to find. Is there anything else that you are in the process of doing down here? Caelum has made contact with Arjhan, letting him know that he is going to be contacting Makoth to see if she can possibly come back to Shroudport to help out the situation somehow. You
I
also
asked her
know,
also to get spellcasters.
Yes. You also know that Makoth did not have access to teleportation magic.
Right.
So it is going to take her a little bit to actually make it back to the city.
I guess, is there anything else that we can do at present?
There is nothing inherently pressing at this point in time. Right now it is just strictly you're on cleanup duty, just making sure that like if like there are children whose parents are no longer present because they have turned to worm, making sure that they all get to the right place. Like people have been displaced. It's a lot. But all things considered, you are able to at least navigate through these kind of social roadways to get to a point where, even though it is later at night now, you're at least feeling good about things. Fang is no longer at the Zesty Anchor at the behest of Gwen, and you actually see him kind of going around the town, and he is trying to find people that he remembers being around as being other notable people in the town. He is having a difficult time of it, as it seems like a lot of the people that he thought would be good at running the town drank a wormy and are no longer available, or are no longer in Shroudport. And so he will have to figure out a way. He's like trying to find a courier to like send out a missive, send out a message to people. He asks, like, while he's asking around, you can see that with a little twinge of regret, he asks if anybody knows what happened to Skavix, the old guard captain. And at that point, you are able to each be like, oh yeah, no, like, we know where that guy is. We're cool. He's like, he was going to one of our company branches up in Silk Creek, but thankfully you were able to catch him in time. He had only been on the road for about a day or so, but he's coming back.
Yeah, I think Gwen would, if nobody was stepping up to like be the decision maker, she would start making decisions. Like kind of be that in the moment leader that people need because she has experience doing it. So
Yeah. Yeah, Gwen, you are definitely a decisionist at heart, and thankfully this situation calls for something such as this. So I would say that the rest of the day, thankfully, goes by uneventfully. Gwen, at the end of the day, there is you, there is Fang, there is Shayla, who is acting guard captain, and then who else is on this council? I would think that another blast from the past. There is a dwarf who is one of the physicians who did not leave, who wears the physician's mask. Gwen, you barely remember him, but you two did share a night together many sessions ago.
It was bad.
It was.
I remember. Yeah, I always remember the bad ones.
There's art of him getting kicked out of the room.
Gwen pretends like she doesn't remember, even if she does.
He also seems like he does not remember that interaction. So thankfully, clean slate. Just don't bring it up. No one's the wiser. Yeah.
Cori sticks around long enough to divine sense the room and confirm that everybody is trustworthy. And then she just goes into recovery mode and she goes out and uses the rest of her resources on healing.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, so Gwen trying to stabilize this city. Like the suggestions of this council that you have formed are basically we need to have camp set up, and then as soon as like tomorrow starts, we need to go around and we need to do a census because we need to find out how many people are still here, how many ended up going the way of the worm, and like how many families have been displaced, like that kind of thing. So there will be some work involved in that. Shayla says that the guards, the remainder of them, can possibly help out with this as well. They just don't have nearly the amount of numbers that they used to have. And Fang is also going to do his best to try and round people up. He has a pretty good booming voice that tends to make people listen. So he is going to try and find a box to stand on of sorts and just tell people to comply with the guards. Don't worry. And like, it's basically a don't worry. We don't care if you do magic. In fact, that's kind of fine now. If you can do magic that can detect if other people have worms, please do that thing. And that seems to be kind of the way that things go for the remainder of your evening. Arjhan, do you want to be involved in the Keeper's Council? All right. What would you like to be doing during this time?
He's going to be looking at that worm in a bottle that we have really closely and contemplating. And sometime over the night, he's going to get everybody together.
Okay. Yeah, I would say getting everyone together is not difficult. To find Cori, you just go towards where the most people in need are. To find Gwen, she's been locked up in meetings for most of the day. Meetings are now wrapped up. Caelum, you were just like hanging out by the Mythal, making sure that you could write down all of your own notes and thoughts and everything like that on it. Do you leave this thing at any point?
I'll leave Tikan there as a alert.
Okay. Yeah, so Tikan is standing guard, this small little Shadarkai puppet that just gives you like a nod, and then they look up at this giant gem, and they are just going to like hide in its shadow.
Don't engage anyone. If someone does come to take it, come find us.
And Tikan nods.
Cool.
Okay, and then Caelum, are you just like exiting through the window, or are you going back through the building?
He'll go back through the building. He doesn't have too many spell slots left.
Okay, yeah. Going back through the building, you can see that this is definitely a building that belonged to like a mayor, a lord of the city. It is large, multi-leveled, built into the side of this hill, almost with dwarven style architecture, in that it was carved out. It was not like built. It has since been refitted for like it has like wood floors, that kind of thing, but you're pretty sure if you pulled the wood flooring up, it would just be like stone underneath. There are, and like as you're going through, you can see that there was a personal library. It's still stocked. It doesn't look like it's been touched for a while. There are several rooms that are now vacant, but the thing that really is poignant to you is that there is no one here. You would expect that there would be like guards or other like high profile individuals, but no one is in this place. And you're guessing that's because, again, worms all the way down. That every member of this group that was close to Lord Ravenhold had become part of his cadre. But you eventually make it out of the surface, back to the top layer, and you are from the front gate. There was a side gate that led, there were two side gates that led, one to the Lord Keeper's house, and then the other was to the High District. So you kind of exit onto that, and you are just now looking down at the steep pathways of Shroudport. Exiting this building, there are still some guards that are there that have been like there to kind of like quarantine the zone. And upon seeing you, I would assume that your friends had like told the guards that, hey, one of our allies looks like this. Please don't arrest them or think that they are a villain. He's a good guy. So I think that they like see you coming out of the house, and they just ask you very briefly if there was anyone else inside.
No, it was empty. I'd be careful going in, though.
And they nod. And when you come back later, there will be more reinforcements on the outside of this building. One of the other things, Caelum, I would think that you would notice is that in the personal library of the Lord Keeper, there was the remnants of a spell circle. It looks like it was a fully fledged out teleportation circle at some point, but had since been destroyed, made inoperable.
Is there enough of the runes to tell where it went?
Not without knowing what the complete sigils is. Some complete sigils are.
Probably that happened within the 4 hours everyone was away,
Yeah.
so he would have did the incomplete, and he'll figure that out later.
Yeah, it was just sort of like you noticed it as you were like heading out of this building. And yeah, so you were able to make it all the way out. And then I would say you're probably making your way like down through the city streets, and you see that Cori is out there just like lay on hands, lay on hands, lay on hands, lay on hands, like doing her best to just windmill slam everybody as far as healing is concerned.
Just the Luigi running attack. through the street.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I do have first level slots, so if it was from the lighthouse cliff, he would have just stepped off, featherfalled like the 60 feet left, and then
Yeah.
landed next to Cori.
And Cori, you are in the process of healing those who have come to you for such a thing. And that is where Caelum enters the scene. And the two of you probably have close to around like 20 minutes or so before Arjhan ends up encountering you, letting you know that he's gathering everyone up. So is there anything that the two of you would like to have conversation-wise before that happens? If not, Arjhan discovers you, thankfully together, and after, I want to say, another like 20 minutes after the three of you coming together, Gwen is no longer in her meeting, and the four of you have reconvened. You may choose wherever you would like within the city to host said meeting, whether the Lord Keeper's Manse or the Zesty Anchor, should you so choose.
Just wherever where I find the last person.
Yeah. That would probably, I would say that would be the Zesty Anchor. Because Fang, after calling everybody for a meeting, he lives at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's having a late night meeting, he would rather everyone come to him and then he can just kick them out and then go to bed after. So thankfully, you are all in at least a relatively homey space. At this point, Fang just like, there's like a tray of food that he had prepared for the meeting, and he lets you all know, help yourselves to whatever's behind the bar, help yourselves to the food. He doesn't give a shit right now. He has too much to think about.
So, a brief update. I contacted McCoth to get some help into Shroudport, as well as Skavix, because we need the leadership.
Perfect.
Second point, lesson time. The big glowing gemmy is called a mythal, and it is a stone of power that is very in tune with the weave. Lord Keeper was using it to functionally summon that elder worm from wherever it was from.
Is it new?
No. That's old. It's old, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's very old.
Like, is it a new addition to the city?
I mean, I don't remember it.
If I looked at the rune work that was keeping it in place, would it be equally as old, or like are there a newer installation?
It is. Its installation is within the last millennia. It's not like new. In like, this happened like 20 minutes ago. The drywall is still in the process of like drying. No, it's old. Like this, as long as Shroudport has been a city, you are assuming that this has been part of it.
Yeah, the mythal that's in the lighthouse has been part of Shroudport for as long as it's been established.
Yes, of course. I remember it now.
I don't think it's on any of the travel brochures.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Is it dangerous? Sorry.
In the wrong hands.
Which we've already seen, but I guess my question is that artifact our responsibility?
There might be similar artifacts like that scattered throughout Alera.
All right.
The ability to use the gate, that's what the Lord Keeper was primarily focused on. Put up spell scrolls to extend the duration for even longer. So we could assume more than one of those giant worms.
Oh. All right.
If we don't want to take it with us, we should put someone in guard of it.
McCoth would be good for that, right?
Well, I mean, I assume whoever would be in keeping watch over it would be the next Lord Keeper.
One person would have too much power.
So what you're saying is we're going to have to restructure the way that leadership works here?
Perhaps.
Maybe
Have a
just
council
over this.
instead?
I mean, I'm all for councils, but I think that's something that we need to talk to the people about.
I feel really weird about coming in, finding this artifact of great power, and then deciding to install our own form of government in order to protect it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Right.
don't feel like we have that responsibility.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
I feel like this and the other mythals are a problem so long as the Lord Keeper, so long as Ravenholt?
Yeah.
So long as Ravenholt remains a threat.
We don't know how many of these he has either.
You're right. And Arjhan will put the wormy on the table. And these are still alive. Undead.
Unlifed.
And we don't know how far their reach is right now. We know that they weren't only in the city. We know that some of them could have been in the water.
Another question to think about. Why Shroudport? Why did he start here?
I could go through his library, see if he kept a journal.
Might be a good idea.
I'm still concerned that this could happen somewhere else.
Exactly.
Well,
Which is why I need to go back to the Sanguine Orders.
They have a bounty on you, don't they?
They do. Well, at least the Witch Knights do.
Weren't they like they're assholes, right? Like why would they help us?
Because if there's any group of individuals that have the resources in order to combat this sort of undead threat, it would be the Sanguine Orders, not just the Witch Knights. All of them. And I don't know how to get in contact with all of them.
Well, isn't one of your employees an ex-Sanguine Order, the Kenku?
Yes. Dren is also one of them. Still,
I think it's a good play. I don't think you should go alone.
of course not. I swore that you were under my protection.
therein lies another problem. I'm already on thin ice. Well, I'm already under thin ice with the Orders. I don't think walking back toward them in the company of a Lich, a Dark Fae, and a Necromancer.
Hey, I don't have to do that stuff while I'm with them. They don't have to know. I mean, I can hide my thing. She points at the other two. I mean, let me go. Let at least me go with you, okay? They can put their feelers out and find all the other things that are going on around the area. Do some more research.
Are you still needed here?
I won't be after tomorrow.
Time is of the essence.
Do you want to put one of them in charge? No offense.
If it's about appearances, then I can look like not a dark fae. But I have an argument as to whether or not I am.
I can't really hide my condition, so I elect to stay behind.
Let me get things settled. Let me get it set up a little bit more, and we can leave tomorrow evening if you want.
All right.
Cool. They set up an orphanage down the street. I think I'm going to stay there tonight.
Okay.
I think for now, it's going to be a knowledge finding, finding everything we can about what's going on. I mean, we didn't even know that this Kyuss could, be away from his space ball.
It's true enough. As for why he attacked Shroudport, I feel like it was a perfect storm. A population of people that he could easily sway under his control. And the lighthouse already had the crystal in it as its light source.
And he already had the perfect invitation to get in through Stemfazeno.
So the real question is, where are the rest of the storms?
Exactly. Well, we should warn the dragon guy.
Rask.
Yes.
I'm currently, I think I've got one in me right now.
What about the Dwarven City, too?
Any large
we should-
population should be warned.
Yeah.
Don't know anyone in the Dwarven City.
Don't we?
This Caelum doesn't.
Caelum doesn't.
Oh,
Oh,
I forgot. Thanks for opening that wound.
He
There's
That
more
can
than
of
one way.
worms.
There's more than one way to communicate. People were communicating before we had wizards, and they'll be communicating long after. We'll find a way.
You will become obsolete.
I'm a fucking typewriter, aren't I?
You're our own personal internet.
I'm a CD player. I was relevant for 10 years, and then all of a sudden Zunes come out.
Who?
What was that
Who?
that you went for?
Oh my god.
You could.
But-
I think you could start with Zunes and then go on to literally everything else.
Ha-ah.
No, I knew that one against
Oh,
Steven.
fucking god, the Zune was great. That's enough in the courtyard. Anyways, so plan for tomorrow. Arjhan and Cori are going to see Witch Knights. Sanguine
No.
Order.
Whoever he's willing to take with him, honestly.
Caelum's
Cori
staying
wa-
behind because he
Caelum is
doesn't want...
staying behind in Shroudport.
So, I could try bringing Cori. I'm worried that they would be able to see through any disguise to your Char form, which is gonna raise a whole bunch of red flags.
It's a good question.
Can Cori detect Fiend Fae Undead on herself and see if she registers as undead? Because I figure as long as she doesn't register as undead, they'll be fine.
No,
It
it's
might-
even if she's still Fae.
Oh, because they're... Okay.
But also,
What's
it
wrong
might
with
be a
being a
BO
fae?
thing where you can't smell it yourself.
Your
But everyone else
girlfriend
can.
was a fae, and they couldn't tell.
That's true. Also, hey,
She was
Wanna
very
take a drink?
powerful.
She was very powerful. Well, I'm very powerful.
Yeah. Gwen would suggest that Cori stay with Caelum for many reasons, but mostly so we're all together. We're at least everyone has someone else to check on them.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. So
Plus, splitting the party like that is probably going to be easier.
What is the worst that could happen when you leave both of the elves to their own devices in a city
Look.
far away from where you're going?
It's better than just leaving Caelum by himself.
Also,
met him?
that is a very valid argument. And I think with that, that's where we're going to go into our break for the evening. So when
I've
we
been
return-
responsible. I dedicate my life to Saloon, and this is the thanks I get.
We left you for 5 minutes and you attuned to a Mythalar.
Because I knew what it does.
You knew?
Communication is key. But we are going to be back in 5 to 10 minutes, so don't go no place unless it's to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, pick yourself up something nice, and we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. See you soon. We're back.
So then she walked up to my man and she started flirting with him, and I was like, bitch, get the fuck away from me.
What an amazing fan!
It's so loud.
Everyone needs a fan that just says bitch on it. Just like in the middle of conversation, just shwa!
I have to say,
Warp.
I'm a fan.
That was great. Oh my god. Yes, Levi. Our Squeef has a tutorial on how to make GIFs. Do it.
Yeah, but that requires Photoshop,
Damn it.
which costs money.
Screen to GIF. Screen to GIF. It's free.
Oh, look at that, getting around Adobe's shitty products that they make me pay money for every month. Still upset about Premiere 20 and 21, but that is different that's a different time. I'm sure it's fine. So, hello everybody. We have returned. We just got done with our plans going into the next day, which was that Arjhan and Gwen were going to go to the Sanguine Order of the Witch Knights, or at least try and track them down, while Cori and Caelum stayed behind in Shroudport. So, going into the next day, Arjhan and Gwen, how are the two of you planning on tracking down the Sanguine Order?
Well, Arjhan knows a location.
True.
That's it.
Okay. And that location is out by the Hollowed Locks. You guys
Yes,
do...
that thing that we went very close to, but
Yes.
Arjhan avoided like the plague.
Yes. So, with that in mind, how are you planning on getting there? Yes, Caelum.
I would offer them that I gave them a silver door handle.
Yeah, you could take Gideon. I believe that one of Gideon's stops is at Silt Creek. I think that's the closest one. Other than that would be the Dragon Forge, and then you would have to go along the lower part of Lake Kellanok in order to get there. There's no like quick...
If we went on horseback from here, how long would it be?
On horseback from where you are currently, you would be looking at least 12 days ride. That is a minimum.
What is the closest point that we can get to?
The closest...
How much can we minimize that?
The closest point that I think that you would be able to get to would be to Banff over to Silt Creek, and then from Silt Creek, you would be able to take horses or some other form of travel, and that would take you about 4 days journey from Silt Creek on horseback to actually get to at least the outskirts of where you knew that their old camp was. It's been a while since you've been out there, but you do remember there being a camp. You also, have helped out the local fae of the Hollowed Locks as well, who are always they always seem to be at least readily available to help minimize your travel time through the woods. So if you were able to at least get to the Hollowed Locks area, you might be able to either ask the Lady of Green or your friendly local Dullahan as a method of, hey, can you help get us closer? And they would be able to help you out.
Also, How do we use the silver door handle?
So a silver door handle needs to be installed in a door. You then take the key of the Manor of Moons tier, place it inside that door, knock 3 times on the door, turn the key handle, open it, and it will actually open you into the Manor of Moons tier.
Yeah, can we just find an empty house and do that?
Yeah, there are plenty of empty houses in Shroudport at the moment.
And is the door handle left behind?
The door handle is left behind.
Perfect.
Yeah, so you are able to get to Gideon. That is no issue. And then, I'm assuming that you're going to get horses once you arrive at Silk Creek?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so that's relatively easy to do. At this point, I would say you'd be able to acquire horses for about half of the value that you will find them for in the player's handbook. So whatever style horse you are looking for, you are able to purchase one.
Hold up. I will try to find that.
Okay, and Gwen, you of course have Cybra that you can ride on the back of.
Away we go.
Okay.
It's like 15 GP.
15? I thought it was
Yeah.
50.
Was it? I think for a war
for a
horse.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll just take off 15.
Okay. And then away you and Gwen go, making your way towards the last known location of the Sanguine Order. It's going to, again, take several days' travel in order to get to that point. So back in the city of Shroudport, Caelum, you and Cori are still there, planning on looking around the Lord Keeper's manor, seeing if you can find like a personal journal or something of Raven's.
Is there any tea that's been left around for me to sip on?
Yeah, there's definitely some tea. It's a nice black tea.
I meant like
Some gossip.
Some gossip.
Some sippy
Alright, guys.
Oh,
Hi,
I
guys.
thought you just meant like an old cup of tea left on the counter.
gross. I may be a lich, but I have standards.
Okay. Yeah, looking around, make an investigation check.
14.
14. Okay. Yeah, looking around this library, you are looking at all sorts of books, trying to see what kind of things there are actually here stored in this library. That looks like, again, it hasn't really been touched in a little bit. You end up finding several books of note, one being entitled The Dragon Wars. And looking at this book, you see that it is actually a brief history of the warring nations, and how initially there were only 10 primary houses, each one being actually ruled by a different dragon, the chromatics and the metallics, 5 and 5 apiece. It also lists the last known names of said dragon leaders. And looking through it, you actually recognize some of those names as well. You see the Bronze Baron, Arathsk, is listed as the last Dragon King of the Bronze Houses. Agravane is listed as the last leader of the Black Dragon House, much to Arjhan's would-be chagrin if he were to discover said information. But yeah, there is the names of black, blue, green, red, white, and then same thing with copper, bronze, brass, silver, and gold. That seems to be like the only real notable book that you find. And the other thing that you find kind of like poking around this desk area, when you pull open one of the drawers, there seems to be a stack of letters with what looks like a sending stone placed on top of them. And pulling these letters out, you see that each of them are dated, each of them are signed. And the first dated letter that you see is Danir 23rd, 1498 AS. Greetings to the new Lord Keeper of Shroudport. I hope this missive finds you well. Enclosed is a sending stone attuned to my own. Should you have any questions about the light source of the house, do not hesitate to send a message my way, day or night. Alindra Stonemantle, Archmage of Ardenthal. Next letter. Ferma 18, 1499 AS. It's been several months and I have not heard from you, Lord Keeper Ravenholt. I hope you are doing well. Rumors have reached our shores that you have called for a ban on the arcane. Needless to say, I believe that this lapse in judgment will have a negative consequence on our relationship and your relations with those on your own shores. Perhaps you would reconsider upon a meeting to discuss this magical ban. Alindra Stonemantle, Archmage of Ardenthal. Hellost 13, 1499 AS. I do not appreciate being left in the dark, Lord Keeper. It has been almost a year, and still you have chosen not to engage with me on the matter of your call to ban magics, innate and otherwise. I have attempted to contact you via Sending Stone and missive, and yet I have not yet received a response. I cannot begin to stress how this will negatively affect the standings of Shroudport to your respective peoples. I implore you reconsider. Alindra Stonemantle, Archmage of Ardenthal. Wereth 7th, 1499 AS. This is your final warning, Lord Keeper. If you do not rescind your ban on the Arcana, your port will be cut from the trade alliance that has lasted between our countries for centuries. If you do not respond to this missive by Nelduan's full moon via the Sending Stone, which you still have not yet used, then Shroudport will no longer gain maritime benefits from Aldera or the Isles of Trade. To put it in a way you may understand, yours is a port city, last I checked, and a port city needs trade in order to function. No more trade means no more ships. No more ships means no more city. Think wisely on your next set of actions. Alindra Stonemantle, Archmage of Ardenthal.
And that's the most recent one.
That is the most recent. To put it into perspective, you arrived back on the material plane on about a month after that letter was sent.
When was the final due? The final
It is basically
ultimatum.
The ultimatum is if by the end of the year, which is the end of Nelduan, you do not respond, you're cut from the trade alliance.
Fuck, shit, fumbles the Sending Stone. He's going to activate it.
Okay.
Miss Stonemantle.
Lord Ravenholt, I do not appreciate the distance and time that you have held out on communications. Fix your teleportation circle. That's all she says.
This wouldn't make her more familiar with me so that I could just sending her, right?
This would not.
So I'd have to wait next or. Okay.
You're gonna do some magic breaking bullshit, aren't you?
He's gonna head up to the Mythil.
Okay.
Cast Scrying, targeting Miss Stonemantle.
Okay. Sounds good.
They're going to make a DC Wisdom 17.
Gotcha. So here, just a second. Just want to make sure.
Secondhand information gives them a +5. Well, gives them a +5 to the save.
Where have we heard the name Stonemantle?
I've heard Stonemantle before.
Yes, you have.
Yep, we sure have.
Aren't the Stonemantles the Kings of Solitaire?
No.
No, aren't they the family of a particular strange tiefling?
They are
Lord
indeed.
of the death?
Oh yeah.
We got a deep crow for them.
You did, and in return, they were building you a mechanical dragon, and it's been sweet ever since. What
Was
a
I
great
there for
trade.
that?
No,
No, I was not.
I don't think so.
Okay, so
Or
this
if
would be
it
second
was,
hint.
yes.
I was not there for that.
Yes, so you... Okay, so she needs to make a wisdom save.
Yeah.
So that would be a 19 on the wisdom save.
Ah, that's a pass. So the scrying won't work. Well, bollocks. Loads and loads of bollocks. Okay. Caelum's gonna totter down to the circle. He knows where it's supposed to go, but not like specifically where.
Okay.
I'm
So,
gonna have to wait till tomorrow.
yep. Do you reveal any of this information to Cori? And Cori, what are you doing? What are you doing during this
If
time?
she does check-ins, yeah.
I was really tempted to just like chime in, like, "What's going on now, Caelum? What are we doing tonight, Bray?"
The same thing we do every night, Cori. Try and take over Alert.
Oh yeah, she checks in on him. She's mostly trying to put out fires in the town and like provide healing and or guidance wherever she can. But yeah, she checks in on Caelum.
Wait. She gets a -4 because I possessed her sending stone, which is part of a
Okay,
possession
so that
requirement.
would be a 15.
Oh,
Fails.
then you do it.
Okay. So, you scry. It is a older woman. She's in her 50s. She has platinum blonde hair that's kind of been like pulled back into a bun. She looks weathered, like she has had her fair share of adventuring. And you see that she currently has several, it looks like pieces of paper that are floating next to quills that are also floating. And she is just dictating what needs to be said on these. And then after they are done, the paper sort of lands in front of her, and then she just makes a waving motion with her finger, and you see a Linderstone mantle, Archmage of Aldera, go across. That just seems to be her like one swipe signature, and
Send for my hot tub.
as your scrying sensor is looking at her do this, you see that there is one of the torches that are hanging in her room as a light source changes from this yellowish flame to green, and she pauses. She puts her hands together, and she says to this open room, "I don't know who you are, but I will have you know I'm very powerful and very good at finding out who you are. So state your business, state your name, or leave."
Hi, I figured this would be the fastest way to communicate you, considering sending stones take up days of communication, and 25 words does not express how much bullshit we're in right now.
Ah, Lord Ravenholt, I assume.
No. Hi, my name is Caelum. Lord Ravenholt is currently indisposed.
There's, like, she kind of, like, sits up a little straighter. And she looks over and just, like, dead locks onto your scrying sensor. Like, is able to, it seems like she's able to see it directly.
For one, the teleportation circle is in disrepair, so I'm going to need the runes associated with it to actually fix it to get you over here. But two, there was a plot to poison everyone in Shroudport, and this is why the Lord Keeper was not in correspondence with you.
And how do I know that you're telling the truth? That you didn't just murder him and now you're planning on bringing me over to across the ocean so that way you can murder me as well.
You
My
have
cousin
a
put
point.
you up to this.
Ooh.
She just sort of like keeps her eyes sort of narrowed towards your scrying sensor.
If you would feel it evens the advantage in your favor, I could use the teleportation circle to come to you. Fair warning, I have some disfigurements.
And she looks at you, or looks at this sensor, and then grabs a piece of paper and quickly jots something down and then holds it up in the direction of the sensor, and you see that it is what looks like the machinations of a teleportation circle.
All right. Sorry, let me just he'll finish the rest of the circle inside his book. 10 to 20 minutes then.
See you shortly.
Flip, close. Cori!
Cori arrives.
Hold things down here. I'm gonna pop over somewhere else real quick.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pop over.
Yeah, so the Lord Keeper was in correspondence with an Archmage, and she's super pissed and said that she's gonna cut trade with the port. Gonna try and put that fire out.
I see. Okay. First of all, you're not going anywhere alone, especially not to visit an Archmage.
Okay.
Okay.
I could take Tikan with me.
I meant myself.
Oh.
If you're willing.
Leans over the side. Fang, you're in charge till we get back!
Just yell into an empty house. He is nowhere near here.
I thought we were upstairs. Just yell out in
No.
the
In
city.
Fang's house.
No. We were in the lighthouse, and he's gonna lean out the
Oh, you just
blast
Oh.
opening.
like just yell out to the city, Fang, you're in charge, and then leave.
He's excited.
Yes.
Amazing.
I've got the sequence, so give me like 10 minutes.
Who is this again?
Archmage Stonemantle.
Now, Cori,
Stone Mantle.
as soon as the name
Yeah.
Stone Mantle is said, Kill Bill sirens start going
Yeah.
off because you have interacted with that family on several occasions, and it's always a wild time.
Are we going to the Hells?
No, we're just going across the water.
Oh, you wouldn't remember.
No, that's probably Similac Caelum.
The Stone Mantles are an interesting family. Usually it's Arjhan who's interacting with them, but
She's a dwarf, not a demon or a devil.
She's human.
Oh, she's human. I thought you
Yep.
said
Nope.
okay,
they're a human.
all right. As Caelum's getting ready to go, she's like gonna read through these notes that were left out, like all of the letters that she had sent, and she's all like, "Oh yes, okay, I see how this is a fire that merits putting out."
We are a trade city, a port city.
I'm sure if she's any amount of understanding, she will understand that the person she was trying to communicate with,
Was a douchebag.
to say the least, yes.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna get my chalk.
Okay. So you managed to get your chalk, scribe all of this out, and without further ado, you and Cori are hopping across the pond. So, using this teleportation circle, you flash over, and when you arrive, You see that it is a darker room that has 7 individual light sources, each one of these sconces sort of set up. And there is a woman standing at the doorway wearing rather elaborate robes. Again, she's kind of mid to late 50s, hair pulled back, and she has almost like a jeweler looking at a fine piece of fabrication. That is what her eyes look like, looking towards this circle. And Caelum, as you appear inside this circle and you look down, I need you to make a wisdom save. And Cori, I need you to make a wisdom save as well.
Is it for a circle of truth?
It is.
I'll take
Zone
it.
of Truth.
Oh. Is this a charm effect?
This is indeed...
I can double check.
Yeah.
And how far away is she?
She is, at this point, roughly about 20 feet away from where you are.
It's an enchantment.
Cool. Wisdom save. Get a +4 from me for being within a number. 23.
Okay. So, Cori, you feel the compulsion, the magical compulsion wash over you.
18.
18, all right. Caelum, you also feel this magical compulsion, but the both of you are able to shake it off as best you can. And as she looks at, and Alindra looks at the two of you, and says, 15 minutes, but I'm not judging. Who are you? Who are you? Explain yourselves.
Hi, I'm Caelum. I contacted you earlier. This is my traveling companion, Cori. We have some things to discuss.
We can discuss them here.
I would recognize a zone of truth, right?
Yes. You also realize that there are multiple layers of spell circle that have been made around this teleportation circle, one of which being an inverted magic circle.
To keep us contained. That's
Yep.
nice.
What? Well, magic circles have to be attuned to certain creatures.
Inverted magical circles. Let me check.
Contain.
I think they still do have to be attuned to a certain creature.
Yeah,
think
one
you
of us is Fey
specified.
and one of us is undead.
I believe you specified, don't you?
Choose one or more of the following creature types.
So basically
it's
all.
a catch-all, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, she doesn't know who the fuck's gonna be coming over. It was a guy being like, he's deposed and broke the transport circle. Let me come to your house. Like, okay, but you're not fucking going anywhere once you do.
Yeah. Caelum will-
Cori, my mother warned me about this.
Oh. Oh, it also blocks teleportation, I think. So we're stuck here until we're finished. But if Caelum recognizes the truth circle, he will choose to fail.
Okay.
So she gets the ping that, yes, they're telling the truth.
Did my cousin send you?
I have no idea who your cousin is.
That's a much larger relief than you will ever know.
You have very little idea how much that narrows it down.
And you, she says towards Cori. Did my cousin put you up to this?
Oh, no, of course not.
And she like, do you know who my cousin is?
No. I'm assuming one of the stone mantles. As I understand, your family is very large and complicated. Ridiculously so.
6 uncles, all with their own children. Cousin makes things even more complicated.
The answer is no.
Good. Now, you said that the Lord Keeper of Shroudport was deposed. What do you mean?
So he was plotting to bring an eldritch evil into the world and poison everyone in Shroudport to turn them into these worm zombie things. We stopped him for the most part, and the summoning ritual that was being used by the Mythal. Yeah, I think that sums it up succinctly.
So you're aware of what the light source of Shroudport is?
It wasn't until like yesterday, but yeah.
And you know it's very dangerous.
Yes.
One of the easiest things that we did was to make sure that whenever someone was elected to a seat of power in Shroudport, that they were unaware of what the gem was, of what the mythal is. Makes it easy when we just let them know it's a giant gem that lights the way for ships.
Considering the lack of correspondence and his current actions, I believe he full well knew what it was capable of.
Yes, I would think so. Now, with this in mind, what has happened in Shroudport? Because as you may have noticed, or as you have referred to, I have not been in contact with the other side for quite some time.
Well, if you have some time and a kitchen. T, this might be a long story.
And she pauses and looks towards the two of you and says, I will have you know that if either of you try to do anything uncouth while you are here in my tower, I will send you back to the plane you came from. Do I make myself clear?
Transparently so.
Good. And she claps her hands, and you see the symbols of the magic circle dissipate. This way. And she will turn abruptly, walk to the doorway, and then look back towards the two of you and just this way.
Cori smiles and nods, but walks up to Caelum and says, "Don't give her your true name. Wizards summon Fae all the time to bind them."
Well, it's a good thing I'm not Fae now, am I?
I feel like you still apply.
Okay. Yeah. Alindra will end up taking you to her kitchen. And she ends up like starting to make some tea for you. And it seems like a lot of the utensils and a lot of the things that she has here in her tower are self-sufficient. She just sort of like has to make very basic hand gestures. There's an animated kettle that will actually like steep the water for her. There are like the cups. It's like the Sword and the Stone, where Merlin's like just getting everything to kind of do stuff for him with minimal effort. That seems to be what Alindra is doing as well. Cori and Caelum both make perception checks.
15.
I got a 10.
Okay, so 15 and a 10. Cori, you are doing your best to, like, you're in a new space. This lady just said that she was going to send you back to the Feywild. Like, you got to be on your toes. Enemies could be anywhere. You don't know her. She's a stone mantle. It could be anything. Caelum, as you are idly looking around this kitchen as well, one thing that you end up noticing is that there looks like it's an old portrait, maybe about 20 years old or so, and you're guessing 20 at least, because this portrait shows a young girl who you're guessing is Alindra, big smile on her face, kind of some dirt that's been smudged on her cheek, that has her arm around a familiar looking half-orc who also has a very big grin on his face as well. And there is a tabaxi that she has her other arm around that has a bow tie like print on his neck. It looks like she is actually an old adventuring companion of Fang Zest back when he was still sailing.
You knew Fang and Swift.
And she sort of pauses and looks over to the portrait. And you see a slight smile play on her face, and she says, "Well, I knew them at one point. Whether or not I know them now is a different case entirely. People change."
Would you find it funny to know that Fang is currently leading the current government of Shroudport? I use the word leading loosely.
And at that, you actually do get, like, she's been trying to be serious up until this point. At that, she lets out a very lighthearted laugh. Like, it seems like that kind of cracks her exterior just enough, and she says, "I'm sure he hates that."
Immensely so.
And that is where we are going to go back over to Gwen and Arjhan. The two of you are on Cyberback and Warhorseback, going across the fields from Silt Creek onward. It's kind of nice. It was like when Cori was in the Feywild and Caelum was off doing his own thing. Like, the two of you didn't have to worry about random magic experiments happening. You didn't have to worry about, like, a lot of weird Fey stuff. Like, it was simple. It was just, like, riding out to do a thing. Arjhan, I'm sure there's, like, more anxiety building up because you are going to be going back to the Sanguine Order. But at the same time, again, you're not going with a Lich, and you're not going with a Dark Fae, as you have described them. So, you know, like, it could be a lot worse. Things are generally looking up. And at this point, it does take around 4 days or so to actually make it to the outskirts of the Hollow Locks. Is there anything that you and Gwen wanted to have as an aside before you arrived there?
So what exactly are we going to be walking into here?
I don't know. They may have moved. They may have disbanded. As far as I know, there's only 2 of them left.
Okay. And did they... Mike, I guess my question is, they see you, what's the first thing that's going to happen?
I don't know. If they adhere strictly to the rites, they try to kill me.
Okay.
If they come to their senses and realize I've killed every other person who has tried, they give me enough time to talk.
Okay, so subdue?
Yeah. Subdue. We still need to know where the others are.
Right. Are you okay going back?
I will be.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I know that you could do this by yourself. I just didn't want you to have to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do, right?
Right.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great.
Somewhere deep down, you know you want to say what's the worst that could happen, but you're not going to say it because that just puts it out into the universe. So, going to the edge of this wood, the Lady of Green has again blessed you all with quick travel through here, so it is it's pretty easy to actually make your way through the woods. And Arjhan, you know where you're going. You've lived there for many a year. And so you're able to essentially like tree stride through this place. Again, it happens very quickly. And you end up coming maybe about a quarter mile from where you know that the Blood Hunter camp is. And as you are approaching, you can see that it leads into a clearing, a very familiar clearing for you, Arjhan. And as your group, as the two of you are looking out, you see that there's kind of an older man that seems to be like yelling at three younger individuals, one of which has a crossbow, the other and the other two have standard bows. And Arjhan, you would recognize the man yelling as Ernan. And they seem to be doing marksman training, just trying to get these new recruits, it would seem, to be able to use some sort of distance weapon. You see that the new recruits are, there is a human male, there is a half-elf that is just non-binary, and then there is a female half-orc as well. And the female half-orc is actually using a longbow, but the longbow is like, if you've ever seen an English longbow where it's like way too fucking tall for the means that it is, like she has the full strength to pull it back and release, no qualms. But it is actually the half-elf who's using the crossbow at this point. And as you are looking out, you can also see that one of the other instructors, Silda, is sort of, they seem to be in conversations with another older hunter. It seems like all that's really left of the Order of the Witch Knights, other than Kodeth, who you do not see here, are these three older hunters and these three younger hunters. And as you are arriving, Vend sort of gets a little quiet, and Silda also gets quiet as the two of them hear a horse and a halfling on a dog making heavy footfalls towards them. And Ernan pauses and calls for the trainees Toski, Farah, and Silas to lower their weapons. And then as you break into this clearing, Ernan's eyes go wide, Silda's eyes go wide, and Vend just seems like nonplussed by what has happened in front of him. He always seemed relatively like, oh, of course this would happen. Like, he was never really taken aback by much of anything. He always just seemed to kind of take it as it came. And as you break into this clearing, you hear Toski. He's like mid to late teens at this point. He's pretty young. He will like pull his bow in your direction, and he says, "Halt! By the order of the Sanguine, and Vend just stands up and walks over and puts a hand onto his shoulder, and he says, Sanguine Knights hunt monsters. I don't see any monsters before me, do you? And Toski, like, looks up at him, and Vend just put the weapon down, son. And Toski, like, eases the drawstring and lowers it.
Oh, you're actually teaching them that now.
He seemed to pick up on it, at any case.
Better late than fucking ever. We have a serious problem.
Yes, we do. First off, I would like to apologize.
Can it?
He nods. Need Ernan and Silda for this?
I do.
And he looks towards Toski, Farah, and Silas, and says, martial combat practice. And he points off towards a little bit of a sparring area. And he turns, and Arjhan, this was the commander's tent that you never really went into. There was never really a reason for you to be called there before, but it seems that as you have arrived, he is the one that's in charge. And you go to this tent. There is a table that's been set up, and it looks like it is a carved wooden table showing most of the forest in this surrounding area. It doesn't seem like this is a full map of the country. And there is, you remember when this was made, but there is a more fresher burn mark. They actually scorched parts of the table where the hollowed locks burned to make it more accurate for their own hunt, essentially. And the three older hunters stand behind the table, and Ernan crosses his arms and seems to kind of just be like fidgeting with his own fingers. Silda looks towards you, and she just kind of stays silent. And Vend puts both hands onto the table and looks towards you two and says, so you decided to come back. Why?
I'll take out the worm. I'll put it on the table.
And Vend looks at it, and Ernan kind of like skews his gaze and just,
tell me everything that you know about Kyuss.
and that, like, Ernan, like, he kind of like skews his face like you just put something rancid in front of him upon saying this. And Vend looks at this jar, or looks at the bottle with the worm still in it, and you hear Silda say in Elvish something, because I don't think the two of you say something. Two of you don't speak Elvish. It is the equivalent of fascinating. You've heard Caelum mutter it to himself on a multitude of occasions. You at least would know that word. And she begins to inspect this bottle. And Vend says, to be honest, we don't know much.
I'll tell you what I know. And I'll relay everything that we've done.
And
Everything that happened in Shroudport, and what I know about a worm ball in space, which admittedly isn't very much.
that's fair. And after the conversation's been concluded, Ernan looks like he's about to say something, and Vend just holds up a finger. Train the recruits. And Ernan just sort of like looks at him briefly, and then Vend just slowly turns his head. Train the recruits. If you don't, they're going to come by the tent. They're going to overhear this. They aren't ready yet. Go train them. One day they will be. And Ernan just like kind of like taken aback, shoots you another look, Arjhan, and then like muttering to himself makes his way out of the tent. And Ven says, to be honest, there's not much that we know about the Elder Evils. There's the Night Serpent, there's the Chained Oblivion, and then this Kyuss that you've told us about. Very rarely do we ever have interactions, whether followers or practitioners or... And he motions towards the worm in the jar. The fact that you have this here does not bode well. What you've told us of Shroudport does not bode well. I'm assuming you have a plan of sorts. Magic is just screaming at me right now. Hello.
The bee.
Focus. There we go.
Sweet girl.
Mwah.
Oh, the void.
If this is here, and what has happened in Shroudport is, as you said, we're going to need more people.
Exactly why we're here.
We are going to do our part to find the source of this and repel it, just as we did in Shroudport. But we don't know how far this infection spreads. And we don't have the resources to track them all down. The other orders need to know about this.
And Vend nods. And Silda, looking at this container, says, are there any more like this?
Yes.
Plenty.
That you have in bottles still?
I mean, we only brought the one, but yes, there are more in Shroudport. I'm assuming we told people to like not break the bottles and throw them out.
Yeah.
We probably have a warehouse full of them now.
If you are able to, we can figure out how the way these worms work is that they are like a infection. They get into you, they rest inside of you until, well, you become one of the worms. But if we can create a vaccine, if we can create a method to distribute this, maybe we can make things better around. Like you said, you are in need of resources. And Silda looks towards Vend. And our numbers aren't what they used to be. At least for the Witch Knights. And Vend says, like, he just sort of mentions under his breath just archaic rules. And he then says, I can talk to the other orders. Something like this, I'm not going to be asking them for help. I'm going to be telling them to help. Do you know where else these worms might be? If there were any other cities that these kind of bottles were shipped off to, if there was anything that we can do to help track them down outside of don't drink a worm.
As far as we know, the bottles were only contained within Shroudport.
But the worms were in the
The worms were
forest.
within this forest.
Did you... She, like, motions for Arjhan to come down. Should we tell him about the whole thing where we fought a god here, too? Because I feel like that's... Is that related?
I don't know if that is related.
Well, if he's one of the old ones.
We had first encountered the worms in Shroudport in a shipment of soil that was purchased and shipped from here. Whenever we came up to investigate, we were brought into the domain of Dindar and repelled them. We don't know if that's connected.
Vend has a slight smirk when you say that you entered the domain of Dendar and repelled them, and Silda pulls out a small journal and just makes a note of things to ask you about later that she's curious of. And she says, and when you repelled them, how did you fight them? Did you throw up wards?
Well, we killed the essence of it in the dream state.
And Arjhan looks definitely conflicted.
The point is, it's not dead, but it is taken care of for the moment.
As is usually the case with the elder evils. Now, you said that it came from the forest. Do you know whereabouts? And he motions on the map. And
Do we know the location?
yeah. Arjhan, based off of the interaction that you had fighting back during the arc with the Hollowed Lock, and then also later finding out that that this medicine man was none other than Ravenholt himself. You know roughly that the origin of these worms in the wood came from the epicenter of the fire that had actually consumed quite a bit of the Hollowed Locks themselves.
Point.
And Silda will make a note of that as well. And Vend says, thankfully, the Hollowed Locks hasn't been occupied in a while. The people there are thankfully left time that this wouldn't affect them.
How recently was that?
Well, when the fire came through. This is the last time we scanned through the area. We've made other scans as well.
There may be a community of Fae that lives there now.
Nice Fae that don't need killing.
That remains to be seen.
No, it doesn't. We met them.
They are Fae that are under protection from a friend.
They're refugees. They're probably going to go back eventually, but right now, they just need a place to live.
Noted. So there's a Fae community. Do you know if they've been affected by these worms?
We know that they specifically were not affected by the dreams, right?
The Fae... They were affected by the dreams.
Damn it. They weren't last time we went through, but that was some time ago.
We are going to make our way around to the civilizations that we know and that we have contact with. This was our first stop. Hi, I'm Gwen, by the way. I'm the leader of the Tread Thunder clan. Goliath, up in the north.
We're aware of the clan. As far as you being their leader, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Whenever he says we are aware of the clan,
Yeah.
why is he aware of the clan?
Because there's like 500 Goliaths that just hang out up there. You gotta be
But-
aware of those dudes.
But does it have anything to do with the fact that they use spirits and zombos?
It do.
Love it.
Oh, come at me, bro. But like I said, we have things that we are going to be doing. We need you guys to work with us, with all of your people.
We'll do our best. There's still, regrettably, some hunters that still abide by the Crimson Mark.
I don't fucking care.
They do. That is why I will bring this up as a request from us. We'll leave you out of this as far as where the information came from. It'll help smooth things out in the long run.
When this is all over, maybe have a conversation with them about that.
And Vend looks towards you and says, "Our order is an ancient one. There are those who value the traditions of our orders above all else. As much as I would like to move past them, others are not an easy sell."
Do what you must. There will not be an order or any traditions to adhere to if we do not stop this.
Ven nods and says, "I agree."
Good. Keep in touch.
Or don't. Not trying to walk away.
It would be best if we kept communications open. You can contact me.
And they sort of like look at you, squint a little bit, and we'll find a method.
You're smart kids. You can figure it out.
And when you call
Nice.
these two older hunters' kids, they both just sort of like look at each other and smile. Just like, what the fuck? Like, where do you get off calling us kids?
I have a lot of older spirits in my brain, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Trying. Yeah, Gwen will turn and like run, catch up to Arjhan. I mean, all things considered, that went actually really well.
Nobody died.
Exactly. And no shots were fired, so. You okay?
He doesn't respond.
Right. Do you want to go hunt some dinner?
I think we should head back.
Okay.
Or head to the Hollow Locks.
Yeah, I think we have a few more stops to make before we go back home. Or back to Shroudport. Should we check in on Caelum and Cori? We did leave the elves alone.
Why do we always have to do that?
She's like shrugs. Caelum, it's Gwen. Met with the hunters. They will do as we ask. Where are you? Please tell me nothing is on fire or exploded.
But because there is a time differential between where you guys were and the events that would transpire until Caelum has received that message, I think that sending's actually as good a spot as any to call it for tonight's session. So I'd like to say, first and foremost, thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful session of Dungeon and or Dragon. And thank you to these wonderful players. I absolutely love having each and every single one of them on this channel. RJ, where can we find you? What do you do?
Ahoy, everybody. I'm RJ. You can catch me here on Mondays as Caelum, the Shadowkai Wizard, for our Humber campaign. It's Elegant Magic's night, so catch me over at GGK, where I play a boy who's in trouble. Yet again. He did some things to his friends, but it wasn't his fault. Wednesdays, catch myself and really wasn't. And Cyberwolf over at Open for Adventures, where we play a desert campaign. I was not there last week, so I got to catch up on that, but my barbarian boy was eating olives all day. Also over at GGK on Saturday, you can catch me in our Apocalypse game. We've swapped over from D&D 5e to Cypher Systems, so we'll see. No, Shotguns and Sorcery, which is an offshoot of Cypher, and we'll see how that goes. And finally, on Sunday mornings, you can catch me over the Hype Goblins channel, where I play a very tired, very angry medicine man, Roland Grandbrook, sorcerer cleric, esquire. DanaeKeener.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm LBHackEmUp. You can find me at LBHackEmUp on the Twitters and the Twitches. The next time I'll be live is tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock on my channel, playing Dead by Daylight. The new killer came out. I got a full party kill right before this stream, and I'm so hyped. And then after that, we're actually going to be starting a Call of Cthulhu game, which I'm so excited about, on GGK at 7 o'clock EST. And then Wednesday I'm dark. Thursday we might be doing more Baldur's Gate, but I don't know. I should find that out. But Friday, Lauren is I'm going to Lauren. No, Lauren's playing by herself on my channel. I'm going up north with my mom. And then Sunday is my normal schedule, where I stream with GGK at 4 o'clock in the afternoon EST, doing our Monster of the Week game. And then after that, back on my channel, we're doing our 5th edition D&D game. Unfortunately, we had to cancel this last week because I traveled from Boston to Chicago in 2 days. DanaeKeener.com.
Hi! I'm Cyber. You can find my stuff at cyberwolf1.live. It's spelled weird, but it's spelled like I moved, so I think it's right here. Yeah. We are gonna be finishing up. We got one more episode of Hollow Knight. Either I'm gonna kill a big moth god, or we're just gonna call it. But we got one more of those. I play video games real badly and talk about the lore, and Hollow Knight was real fun to talk about the lore of. I got a YouTube where those archives go. Check out Jabroni TV on YouTube and jabroni.tv for a whole bunch of other streamers. Also, follow our YouTube, because there's a lot of cool shit going out right now. We are going to drop the finale of Boyfcraft for Saturday this week. And then next week, we are dropping a brand new series that I worked very, very hard on, and you're going to want to see it. It's going to be very, very fun. And you get 2 episodes of it next week. It's just like WandaVision. We're dropping 2 episodes. So yeah, check that out. Check out Drama TV. It's some cool stuff. But for the RPG stuff that we're doing, actually, we haven't been on this in a while. Whoops. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/cyberwolf1201. You don't have to subscribe or anything to it. But there's a lot of cool free shit on there, including the last thing I dropped, which is Archivist's Guide to the Horrors, which is my way of mourning the end of the Magnus Archives. And has a lot of like, oh, well, this is how I'm thinking I might add some of that world building into D&D and run stuff in D&D. I had a lot of fun making it, and we'll be updating it later, but hey, it's up there. You should check it out. You should check out the other shit that I did, because most of it's free. Anyway, but for the games that I'm in, RJ already said the game that we're in on Wednesdays on twitch.tv/openforadventure. And then I'm here on Mondays. And that's it. DanaeKeener.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Danae Keener. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I do nerdy drawings mostly related to D&D and a lot of things on this channel. You can also find me at Danae Keener on Twitter. I've got my schedule posted there in a pinned tweet. And you can see where all the games I'm at, and usually I'll reblog whenever we go live. DanaeKeener.com.
And if you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey, Acorns, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this on Monday and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as well as on Sundays at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to youtube.com/Indoor Adventures to check up on all of the VODs of each of the games that we have played up until this point, or you can go towards where anywhere audio casts are made available for free. You can find us there under the same moniker. And speaking of things that are being made available for free, if you go to patreon.com/Indoor Adventures, you can check up on our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. Now, there's also one last thing that I would like to bring up before the end of tonight's session, which is this Saturday, you will be able to find me on Mercy Road, a 24-hour charity stream that is being hosted by dear friend of the channel, Saucefire. Now, if you go over to twitch.tv/Saucefire for that Mercy Road charity event, you will find during a 24-hour period Saucefire going absolutely fucking ham because he is going to be DMing for 24 hours straight. That's wild.
Wait, he's running all of the games?
Every single game Sauce is running.
The mad lad.
The absolute madman. So please, if you are donating anything, do so because Sauce is a crazy person and you should help them, because if they then run a game after like a couple days after that, their brain's fried. I don't believe it. I don't trust them. We need to summon as many flumps as we possibly can for Saucefire, and the only way to do that is to help raise money. So the game that I'm going to be playing in is going to be starting at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And in the campaign in the one shot that I'm going to be in, I'm going to be playing with the Hype Goblin. I'm going to be playing with Satan. I'm going to be playing with Kyuss. I am going to also be playing with other great friend of the channel, Mecha Spider. So I am very excited to be able to play with all of these great people. We're going to be raising money for an even better cause. So go help support Saucefire during that Mercy Road charity stream. Yeah, RJ.
I'll also be on Mercy Road at 6 a.m., which would be like 3 PST?
Yeah, that'd be
That's
3,
how
yeah.
time
Are you going
works.
after? Wait, are you in the game that's after mine?
I think I'm like the game after yours or like a little
Right
bit after
before.
yours.
We'll figure it out. Either
We'll
way.
figure it out. But I'm going to be playing with friend of the channel, GB.
Grabeard.
Great beard. With a couple of other fine folk as well. There is a really neat thing you can do ahead of time if you cannot make it to the stream, where you donate and you can gift a care package to your favorite team member That includes something like a magical item or a set of potions or whatever. Sauce has everything listed down.
Yeah, so go check it out. Again, that's going to be Mercy Road being held at twitch.tv/Saucefire this upcoming Saturday to Sunday. Time zones. We'll post more. We'll post more leading up into it, but something to keep on your radar. It's going to be for a great cause. And again, God bless Saucefire for running 24 hours of DM, because again, that's the absolute mad lad. But with that, I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful session of Dungeons and Dragons. And thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week. And we'll see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.